are listening to the most original talk radio station anywhere. We are LA Talk Radio at latalkradio.com.
You're listening to Peace Fund Radio with Adrian Paul and Ethan Dettenmaier, right here on LA Talk Radio.
And yes, we're deep in the World Cup at the moment. Deep into it. Wouldn't you say, Ethan?
I would. In fact, I'd say it's actually probably one of the best World Cups I can remember. It's full of excitement, awesome. Surprises, goals, craziness. This has been probably the best one in my lifetime.
Yeah, and now we have a very interesting incident. I call it the World Cup bite.
Yeah. And what exactly is the World Cup bite?
You don't know what the World Cup bite is. Many of you out there might not have seen it, but it was I'm just going to get it up. It was. I want to make sure I get the right players. It was actually the game between Uruguay and it was in Italy, and Suarez. It looks
okay. The actual bite.
One of the other.
It's not a term of okay. This isn't a catchphrase. This is the actual biting. What? Suarez has got the mouth for it, though.
Oh, yeah, he does. He does. Well, I hope he gets banned because he scored 2 goals against England. The out of fitness player was not. He's a brilliant player. But anyway,
I think he had to sit a game out last time. Was that the guy that did the deliberate handball in the goal?
I don't know, actually.
And it's claimed it was kind of a gut reaction, which it actually probably was. I think, look that up. Someone should look that up. I think Suarez had to sit out a game last World Cup, too, for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Well, no, that's not really unsportsmanlike. That just means you handballed it. You know, I mean, but you don't usually have to sit out a World Cup game because you handballed it, unless
it was going right in the goal and he did like a hook shot.
Well, if it's deliberate, that means that it's a sending off, which basically means you missed the next.
I want the audience to take note that Adrian Paul just redefined what unsportsmanlike conduct is in soccer, where a handball apparently can be quite sportsmanlike.
Go! No, it's not. Oops.
But I'm pretty sure that was Suarez, who I love his ability, but that guy loves to also run his mouth. Perfect guy for a biting attack, in a sense. Yeah. You'd almost expect it.
Thank you for the pun there.
He is a talk. Well, they're all talkers, I think, out there. Remember the headbutt from Zidane 8 years ago?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's what the World Cup.
Another great moment.
But he's actually hold on a second. I have something here. It actually says Luis Suarez. He's not French. He's South American, but he's World Cup bad boy. He actually, there's a picture of him laying on the floor going, I'm thinking, yeah, but you just bit the guy, so why But he's had racist comments. He's actually done
no room for that. Not in soccer.
That just doesn't,
no room for that anywhere.
And it's interesting because when you get to a certain level in any sport, in anything, I went to an event last night. Oh gosh, I'm gonna be kicking myself, not remembering the name of the event. But anyway, I'll tell you in a second. But basically, the idea was actually to empower children into their respect and in themselves, and how to to believe in themselves in what they do. So my point here is that Suarez, who has gotten to the point where he has become on the world stage, he's being looked up to by a lot of kids, and therefore he should be setting an example. But doing things like that doesn't exactly do it. It was a charity last night called True Spark, which was actually a very interesting charity that they now have raised a lot of money to actually put this program in many schools across the country, which really is based on films that give inspiration or a message to children. And they showed the spelling bee, for instance, at one point during the talk, and how it was about believing in yourself, and the only person that is an obstacle to you is yourself. So and this is something that they've tried and tested in schools, and they're pushing it even further into different schools in how to give kids that extra something. So my point is that the kids look up to somebody. So somebody like Suarez or any of the great footballers or anybody else should set an example. They get to a point they can't do some of the things they do anymore because there are a lot of kids out there that are taking note of absolutely everything that they do. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. But,
okay, yeah, you were mentioning that, but you said something very interesting before the top of the show about the way the U.S. played and going into this German game tomorrow, which I think is going to be fantastic.
You know, I thought England were playing on Thursday. I was like, why are there no games?
I made no mistake about that.
Yeah, no, England, forget England. They were absolutely poor showing.
Geez.
They played, I mean,
And disappointed. I'm disappointed because I love it when England's in the thick of it because then it really gets fun with the fans out here.
I know. But listen, let me tell you something. I think England at some point will become that power again, but they just haven't gotten it together yet. They seem to have. There was a guy there said they don't have any world-class players. Well, yes, they do, but they just don't know how to play like a team. You know, they play that awful English football that was from years ago, which is pump, kick, and dump it up or pass it around for a little bit. But they don't move forward. They started moving forward in this World Cup, and I like that. But they just were not at the back. They were weak in a couple of spots, and they showed it against Italy and they showed it against Uruguay, and that was it. But when I saw the US, I was like, wow, now that looks good. The US looked good. They actually looked like the German team the way they play, and that's probably because of Klinsmann. He obviously has a mentality of that drive forward and clinical passing. I mean, they broke up Portugal's defence and they scored 2 good goals.
Lots about that game. First of all, Klinsmann is an ideal coach, and when he actually sat Donovan or cut Donovan, I was one of the guys looking back at the German team last time around when Ballack was injured, and the entire composition of the team changed for speed versus his steadfast, place kicking attack ability. I thought that was brilliant, and I thought the same thing when Donovan was out. I said, Klinsmann is the guy. He's going to shake up the whole thing, and look at it. It has paid dividends. I'm going to tell you 2 things. I love the fact that Portugal didn't quit, although I can't stand Portugal in this thing. But I love the fact that they kept playing, and I'm going to say something that's going to piss off every American fan. America is the team I would more than anything love to see win it. Costa Rica, though, is kind of my dark horse now.
I can't believe them. Look at them.
It's unbelievable. Goodness. The country without a military is running around teaching everyone about soccer. But I want to say something about the second goal when the United States went up 2-1. Only the Portuguese goalie and I are the 2 people on earth that saw it. America was way offsides.
No, they weren't.
They absolutely
were.
They weren't. They absolutely
weren't offside. They were level.
You need to look at the replay. No,
I did.
No, you absolutely Our forward was right at the corner kick spot, and the ball came backwards. And I hate to say that, but I also hate even more, I would have hated to win on a goal that I felt wasn't just, because I'm really all about the sport. And I was so stoked on how America was playing, and it was an awesome game, and it was super fun to watch.
I'll have to have a look at that replay again, because I actually saw he passed it backwards. You talk about when he actually chested it into the goal. Or when it was actually placed to the left-hand side when he crossed it. Which
take a look at the replay, and you should concur with what I'm saying. But I mean, I would love to see America do well. But the fact that Portugal came back and tied it, I said 2 great things. I was watching with my kid, and I had a chance to say, you know what? As long as you never quit, you've got a chance in life, not just in soccer, but in life. But also, it's Portugal. We're walking away from a tie. I think both the U.S. and Germany is going to advance. I think it's pretty much decided. Thanks to Germany
it's
putting
not decided.
It's going to be decided.
No, it's not decided.
You honestly think Ghana or Portugal is going to advance out of this group?
That's not the point. The point is actually goal difference. If what happens with it really depends on how America plays against Germany. That really is what it's going to be about. Because if they lose too many goals,
that's not different than what I'm saying. I'm saying they're both going to advance. I think it's going to be, you're looking at maybe 1 or 2.
I would love to see the America advance. I think they should. I mean, that last goal was such a gut-wrenching.
Well, they're playing with a lot of heart. I got to give it to our boys out there.
They really are. Yeah, they really are.
They clearly are playing with something to prove.
Yeah.
But I think they're both going to advance ultimately. I think we can thank Germany for putting up just a wallop on Portugal out of the gate, 4-0. Because that's really going to be the difference, is them just crushing Portugal. Basically like some sort of bad World War II movie. It was just, just smashed them.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
We'll see.
Well, actually, I like the fact that Portugal got spanked like that. But anyway,
I'm tired of Portugal. I'm tired of when Ronaldo put himself last in the penalty kick situation in the Euro Cup 2 years ago, so he could be the hero, and they got knocked out in the penalty kicks before he could even kick. That said so much about those guys and the team composition.
It was funny because I was sitting there with some girls, and Ronaldo comes up and goes, I hate him. I absolutely hate him. Look at him. He's full of himself. He's done his eyebrows. He's plucked this. He's done that. His hair is so perfect. It's like, I mean, I'm like, hey, girls, it's okay. Right? Don't hate. You know,
that's not why I have a problem with him. I just don't really like.
He's a fantastic player. I mean, he really is a player. But he does his sportsmanship is like, it's me. Give the ball to me. I'm the great one. And that I don't like that in players. It becomes a bit too much. You know.
So I think both America, in summary, both America and the United States and Germany will in an odd way, be able to thank the Germans for it, because I think they're going to beat us tomorrow, although I'm pulling hard for the Americans. But I think they're going to beat us.
The Germans are a good team. Germany's a good side. I knew it 4 years ago when they had that young team come in. They didn't have the experience then. They've come in now and they've really matured, and it shows. And I think they're going to be. They'll be up there. You know, I think they will be up very close to. You know, the semifinals, the finals, if you're not winning it. I mean,
but like I said, we're going to be able to thank them for smashing Portugal up, and that's how we'll get through. We'll be able to thank them. So I think that's great that both U.S. and Germany. I think that makes for a great 16.
This is actually very interesting because it's called the Group of Death.
Yeah,
it's a very tough group. I mean, some of the other groups you look at, you're like, well, you know, I mean, what happened there? You know.
No, but you know what's funny is this group. I really liked United States' chances against Ghana in particular. And I felt, and Loda will tell you, we saw the game at the Hilton up at Universal. Taking a break there to watch the game, I'm the one guy, I think, who said it out loud, saying, I think the United States can take them. I didn't like that second goal, but I felt like we matched up really good. And if you match up good, anything's possible. It's like a fight.
Yeah.
You know? And so it was all exciting, man. I'm excited. It looks like Suarez is going to get a 2-year ban. I don't know when that starts.
Is he ready? A 2-year ban?
Yeah.
Yeah, he bit. I mean, that's just. I mean, why do that? I mean, dude, you're a talented guy. Why?
I know. You know, why go from being the hero in the previous game with the 2 goals to being the complete doofus?
Absolutely.
You know, but I mean, I love. I wish Ivory Coast advanced because I was really pulling for them. But I loved Ecuador. I loved Honduras. I love what Costa Rica's doing.
I love what Costa Rica's doing.
It's just fantastic.
I do. I mean, I was in Costa Rica, and it's not an overly developed country. So I mean, you look at it and go, wow, they've actually been able to be on the world stage, and they've gotten to that point. The other team, actually, I think is Algeria, has never gotten past. I believe it's Algeria has never gotten past gotten to the last 16.
Algeria played with a lot of heart against Korea. Played with a lot of heart. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. I'm not going to put any mortgage money on Algeria.
No, I wouldn't do that either.
I do like what you're saying.
To get to where they're going to. I mean, it's about a dream, isn't it? It's about getting into, you know, having a dream to do something. I mean, a lot of these guys, when they were kids, had a dream to become a soccer player or become something famous, and now they're living that dream. I mean, even just getting through that. I mean, you've got to understand these teams have actually been through a lot of work, a lot of games that they've knocked out other teams, a lot of heartache. They've gotten to this point. Now, for them to go even further is another much bigger. It's the Super Bowl of the world. I mean, it really is, and that's what you have to liken it to. And you have 3.6 billion people watching this sport. 3.6 billion. I mean, so
it's awesome.
It really is. So for you to be on that type of stage is incredible.
Yeah, and all these guys have earned it. I mean, you know, and one of the teams I love watching, and it's not because I'm a Southern Californian, is Mexico. I love watching the Mexicans play.
They're very talented.
It's
very talented,
unbelievably entertaining watching that.
But we were actually talking about how the U.S. team is actually made up of a lot of different nationalities now. If you look at the names of the English team, on the American team, it's actually made up of a lot of different nationalities. And you look at the parks here. You look at some of the playing fields, the schools. There's a lot of soccer being played, and they're played by Iranian children, by Mexican children.
But isn't that the greatest thing? I mean, if you want to have fun on a Saturday, call me up around 9 in the morning, on a Sunday rather, and I will take you to the best Sunday leagues that are primarily nothing but Latino players.
Absolutely. And also girl teams, too.
But it is unbelievable to watch. Yeah. You just put together like a picnic basket, a couple cases of beer, and I'll take you to all the right fields. And we even sponsor one of those teams, Deportivo. We played with them.
We played with them, yeah.
We played with them in the charity company. And of course, they were kind enough to dial it back on us, but they were... You know, you could kind of feel the awesome.
Well, you know, it's a couple of them, you knew that they had that type of speed. I mean, they are 19, 20-year-old kids, or 15, 20. When you're in your prime in that sport, I mean, you're 19, so there are 19-year-old players playing in the World Cup. I mean, they're that level. So you've got to understand that when you get to 15, 16, you're like a little racehorse. You're ready to go. We are like we've been put out to pasture.
I know. Sad truth. What's sad is we haven't really fully realized
No, I know. That's
we still think we can can go out there and mix it up. And speaking of a 19-year-old, Belgium against Russia, 19-year-old scored the goal that won that game.
Yeah, Belgium. I'm actually really rooting for Belgium for some odd reason because they've never really done very much in the World Cup.
No, they haven't. What's so funny is everyone keeps thinking they're part of the Netherlands. And I'm like, no, that's a different team. That's a different dominating soccer force.
I must admit, going to Belgium
country.
is pretty boring. I mean, it's not a very interesting country. Sorry, Belgium. If you're Belgians, sometimes they can make great beer.
I'm being tweeted a bunch of hate mail from our Belgian listening audience saying, how dare you guys.
I love Belgian people. I mean, if you've got it, the French and the Belgians is like the Irish and the English. It's not all the English and the Americans and the Canadians. Oh yeah, Belgians and the French, go jokes against each other. It's all French do all Belgian jokes and all that type of stuff. But anyway, let's talk about what we're going to talk about because we were talking about dreams a little bit earlier. I mean,
dreams,
making dreams come true, and we're going to have that this morning. We're going to talk this morning about that. There are programs that help grant wishes to young and seriously ill children, aiming to give these kids some kind of happiness during a hard time, even though these wishes can't reverse the diagnosis for these children. A new study is reporting that granting the wishes would still benefit the children and their families. There's been a growing interest in the influence of positive events on well-being, especially those people who are ill. Many organisations organise events with the hypothesis that these events improve the lives of the recipients. However, research on such activities and their impact has been fairly scarce. Though it was rated as a positive experience overall, nearly half of the parents said they had bittersweet feelings. Happy that their child was granted the wish, but unhappy they were eligible to receive one. I can understand that, really, in a sense. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You kind of like, I'm glad my kid got that, but I wish he didn't actually have to be in that position to be eligible to receive it. So we're going to actually have a couple of people on this morning that we're going to be. Actually, is John? Let's bring John Beerley.
Here.
We were supposed to actually have. We actually had a couple of guests in the studio that have not been able to turn up this morning. Which
it was
yes.
Louis
Good
Suarez.
morning, gentlemen.
He's a little busy.
Yeah, Suarez.
Beerley, how are you?
He was out there biting
I'm
stuff.
doing very well. How are you guys this morning?
The vampire.
We're good, John.
We're typical soccer hooligan-driven show. It's all about the World Cup. Even if you're talking about Gandhi, India in the World Cup in 1946, it always comes back. There's no way to steer us into the cause. It seems like. But how are you, John?
I'm doing very well. Very well, guys. Got very excited about today's show. We've got two really great guests who are going to be joining us.
And
this morning?
We were going to have Dalton Sear in the studio, but unfortunately, last minute, his manager said he had to go and do a photo shoot, from what I understand. Was that right?
Yeah, they've got, he is actually in Los Angeles at the moment having lots of meetings. Dalton Sear, as our listeners know, is a longtime friend of the show, 14 years old, musician, philanthropist. He works very hard for lots of causes, including veterans' families and the Dream Factory. We actually have a caller this morning from the Dream Factory, Laura Walitsky. The Dream Factory is one of the largest dream-fulfilling organizations in the country with 35 chapters throughout the United States, each chapter completely operated by volunteers, only 4 paid employees at the national headquarters in Louisville, Kentucky. Laura got involved with the Dream Factory back in 1997 when a 4-year-old at the school where she was teaching was diagnosed with stomach cancer. She moved to Rochester, New York, and started a chapter of the Dream Factory at that point, and she has been the area director in Rochester since its inception. And in the 16 years since that Rochester chapter was founded, they have fulfilled nearly 200 dreams for kids. She's also taken on many roles with the Dream Factory at the national level, secretary of the National Executive Board for 4 years, a member of the Mentor Committee since its inception, and the chair of the Marketing Committee, which is how she met Dalton Sear, who connected her to Kimberley Moore, who recently, I believe, Adrian, it was in March, you and Kimberley fulfilled a dream for the Dream Factory?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, sorry, we were looking actually at the phone number we were just about to call. Yes,
Yes.
Kimberley and I were we did a little event back then, and we fulfilled a dream for the Dream Factory. It's actually interesting. You were talking about dreams, John. I just want to sort of mention some of the ideas of what dreams are. I mean, making dreams come true. It's a great thing because benefiting and granting of wishes of kids basically goes back to a 2011 Wish Impact study that surveyed wish parents, health professionals and volunteers, basically to saying that a wish coming true empowers children with life-threatening medical conditions to fight harder against their illness. when wish kids are granted a wish, they get more than just a great experience for a day or two or a week. The experience improves the quality of life for them and their entire family. I mean, it really does. I mean, it gives them something to really look forward to. Health professionals, and I'm quoting this, health professionals treating them say the wish experience is an important adjunct to medical treatment, and they observe their patients feel better and comply more readily with treatment protocols when they are experienced their wish come true. And the community of volunteers who grant wishes say the wish granting process heightens both their ability to see the best in others and their commitment to actively help more people in need. So I think it really does, granting a wish. And I've seen it actually because on Kimberley Moore's program, she, grants wishes. That's what we do. Adopt a Letter, her program actually. Well, actually, we're going to call somebody right now, but it actually does that. And I've seen it firsthand. The look on these kids' faces when you actually turn up and you've just granted the wish that they were looking for is amazing. So right now we're going to be trying to call Laura Walitsky from the Dream Factory, I believe it is. Laura, are you there?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I am. Hi.
Hello, Laura. Did I say your name right? Laura Walitsky?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I got it right. Because I could say it absolutely wrong, and then I'd be in your bad books.
It's not that easy, but you did well.
Thank you so much. Thank you. How are you today? Where are you calling us? Where are you calling you at? Where are you at the moment? What part of the country?
I'm in Rochester, New York.
Oh, you're in Rochester. Okay. Now,
Yeah, kind of over near Niagara Falls, like about an hour away from Niagara Falls.
That's amazing space that is actually. We have John Beerley online as well. Who have you spoken to John before? I'm not sure if you've spoken to John Beerley.
Yes, actually, Laura and I spoke yesterday, and she was we're so grateful. She's a very, very busy person, and we're so glad that she was able to come on the show today and talk to us about what the Dream Factory is up to.
Yeah, you've actually taken it to on the national level, so I'd like to hear a little bit more about what's been going on. And I know you've been a secretary of the National Executive Board for 4 years now, so I'm sure you've got a lot to tell us.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you did an introduction as to like what the Dream Factory is, but we are one of the largest dream fulfilling organizations in the United States. The things that make the Dream Factory a little bit different are that we are an all-volunteer organization. We have about 35 chapters, all completely run by volunteers. Our national headquarters, which is in Louisville, Kentucky, has 4 paid employees. So everybody
you speak the same language as I do.
They want to.
Yeah, you speak the same language as I do, Laura. I mean, that's what the Peace Fund has been working on for several years. There are, as you said, there has to be at some point. There are some things you have to pay for, but the majority of the time, if you can get qualified people, and we've actually been able to do that on the Peace Fund, it does work. You can make it work if you organize it correctly.
Yes, exactly. And the Dream Factory has been around since 1980, and we've had our time to like work things out. And we're actually kind of at a verge now where we're really kind of taking the next step of the Dream Factory and just working to expand more and more people all around to know about the Dream Factory and know what we do. And we're looking for more people interested in starting chapters or dreams to be fulfilled in the areas where we have existing chapters, corporate, all that stuff.
Let me ask you something, Laura. I've got a question for you. I mean, you started the Dream Factory. You got involved in 1997 when you had a 4-year-old at school where you were teaching was diagnosed with stomach cancer. Is that correct?
Yes.
And he got a computer, and you found that you fulfilled his dream, and that's kind of what started you on this road, isn't it?
Yes, it is. There is a Dream Factory chapter in Ithaca, New York, which is where I lived at the time, and they had sent my school a letter saying, "We have money, we don't have any kids, do you know of anyone?" And we hung on to the letter. We didn't know anybody. Weren't we lucky? And then just a couple months later, Michael was diagnosed with stomach cancer.
Oh, dear.
And so I went to the Dream Factory, and I said, how can I present this to the family? And I really just instantly got involved, and within a couple of months, Michael had his computer. I was a board member of the Ithaca chapter. And then a couple months after that, I found out I was moving to Rochester.
Let me ask
and I will say, just as an aside, that Michael is now, I think he's 22 years old and doing really, really well.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, I did mention something a second ago that when you fulfill a dream, it actually allows a child to fight harder against the illness that actually is afflicting them. So, it does, I think, a positive attitude that comes from having something fulfilled that you really want does actually give the
it really does. I agree. And it goes two ways. It's like remembering the trip afterwards. Or whatever their dream was. But we actually, here in Rochester, New York, we just fulfilled a dream for a boy with Crohn's disease. Mm-hmm. And that's an intestinal major issue. And he wanted to see Pearl Harbor. So we started making the arrangements, and while he was waiting for his trip to happen, whenever he would get flare-ups, which are incredibly painful, something I've never experienced, and I hope not to, because it's just really, really painful. But as his mom was talking him through his flare-ups, they talked about Hawaii. They talked about Pearl Harbor. They talked about his trip. And it calmed him down. It shifted his focus. It made him look at something positive that was coming from all of this. And it helped him.
So how do you choose a child, and where do you go? I mean, do you go into hospitals? How does that work?
We do. We go to hospitals. We go to social workers at hospitals, local pediatricians, school nurses. But a lot of it is internet searches and word of mouth. Right now, I mentioned this one kid who has Crohn's disease, and there was another girl we did who had Crohn's disease, and she told her friends who told her friends, and so we started doing a bunch for kids with Crohn's disease because they all travel in the same circle, all go to the same hospital. Same thing with type 1 diabetes. Word spreads amongst the parents. And so our criteria are a child has to be ages 3 through 18, diagnosed with a critical or chronic illness, has not received a dream from another organization, can, in one way or another, communicate their dream choice to a volunteer, and lives in the community where we currently have a chapter.
Right. So how many chapters do you have across the U.S. now?
We have, I think it's 35. It's 35 to 37. I know we just added a new one in Boca Raton, Florida. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not sure what that brings it up to. We have chapters in 16 states, but we fulfill dreams in more than that, because we have a chapter in Kentucky that fulfills dreams for kids like right over the border in Indiana. Okay. Same thing with our Memphis chapter. There's another state. I don't know my geography that well. That they fulfill dreams one state over as well. So I think we fulfill dreams in about 19 or 20 different states.
Now, Laura, in the 16 years since the Rochester chapter has been in operation, just the Rochester chapter alone has fulfilled nearly 200 dreams. That's correct?
Yes. Yep.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
What are some of the most common types of dreams that you're asked to fulfill?
Oh, the most popular one is Orlando, Florida, going to Disney World. And I think that is across the board to all of our chapters. And we are incredibly lucky because there's an organization that we work with called Give Kids the World. And it's a resort for dream-fulfilling organizations to send their families to. So they have, I think it's 140 villas. And every family who's there has a sick child. And so it's just really, they get tickets to Disney World, SeaWorld, Universal Studios. They have parties every night. It's just an amazing place. And that's become our most popular dream. Shopping sprees are big, backyard swimming pools, playgrounds, meeting celebrities, and trips. We had a girl come out to California from Rochester who just had a wonderful time with Kimberley and Adrian. it was the highlight of her trip.
Oh, that's awesome. When you were talking about fulfilling dreams, Kimberley's foundation, which is Adopt a Letter, fulfills, dreams of kids at Christmas time that, they can't, afford several things like presents or food or whatever, or clothes or anything. But a lot of it across the board, as you said, was Disneyland was a very big one. And I thought to myself, well, Disneyland tickets are not exactly cheap. They don't really give concessions to a lot of charitable organizations. They may give you a small percentage, but in reality, they're a business. So you pay a certain amount of money. And you think, well, is that the right money to spend? But then when you look back at it and you look at the way that this affects the kids, when we went there to deliver, these tickets to several families, they were so overjoyed, and it gave them something they'd never dreamed they could ever have before. So the hope that they had in their faces was amazing. And it's funny because you think it's just Disneyland tickets, but is that right? But yes, hope is a very big issue. Yeah,
it's amazing what one little trip like that will do. I mean, we think of it as one little trip, but for the Adopt a Letter families, those are people who have never traveled out of the city where they live. With Dream Factory, the kids are so focused on their illness that to have a week away from all of that is just so empowering to them. There was one family, a little girl named Haven, who our Rochester chapter just sent down to Orlando, and this winter was really harsh in Rochester, New York. We got about 120 inches of snow. The temperature stayed in the teens for weeks on end. It was horrendous. And this little girl, Haven, went down to Orlando, and her parents came back and said, we're seriously considering moving down there to work at Give Kids the World. That's their dream job now. Because the difference, the sunshine and everything, the enjoyment that their daughter had while she was in Florida was astounding. She had energy that she hasn't had in months because of the Florida sunshine.
Right.
And this one little trip has made a significant impact on their entire family.
Where can people find out? What is the what you have a website obviously that people can find out, and do they have all the chapters around the US on that website? Yes,
it's dreamfactoryinc.org, like dreamfactoryincorporated.org. And I believe it's in the top right corner. It says find a local chapter, and they're all listed there. And, okay. There's lots of other information. Like I said, I mean, if somebody is interested and wants to learn more and talk to our national director about starting a chapter where they are, we offer lots of support and lots of help. And it's a very rewarding thing because we do get to make this impact on the kids. And there was another dream that we just did locally. And, I wanted to talk about nationals, but when we send the families down to Orlando, we know they're having a good time. But we don't get to see their face when they walk into Give Kids the World or into the Magic Kingdom. When we do local dreams, taking the kids shopping, or we had a boy who was just a firefighter for a day, and when the fire trucks pulled up and they handed him his turnout gear and said, hey, you're spending the day with us, the expression on his face was just amazing. And to be able to see that locally is it's wonderful.
Right.
And if other people want to experience that.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I mean, Kimberley Moore was going to be here. I know you know Kimberley, and but she's actually been indisposed this morning, unfortunately. Just received a text from her. But Laura, thank you and all the stuff. I know we will talk again. Dalton speaks very highly of you, and and
there's Dalton as well. Dalton's here.
Exactly. Yes.
He's up and coming, and we're hoping we can help him get up and coming even more, and we're hoping he can help us too.
I think he's a very talented boy.
Between Dalton and Kimberley, and now you, we're really looking forward to the next step for the Dream Factory and for everything else.
Well, thank you, Laura. I look forward to talking to you again, and I'm sure we'll connect, and John will connect with you because we have a lot of stuff happening, and we want to be making our team of charities that we can talk to and help each other out much bigger. So I look forward to talking to you again.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Laura. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
So, Dream Factory. Now, there's just one thing before John brings us the heroes of the week. I want you to, everybody out there, to actually understand something. Wish granting. There are some fantastic organisations out there like the Dream Factory, but there's been a crisis of confidence confronting wish granting charities, a popular and growing sector of the non-profit industry. It's since the case against Kid Wish USA. It was a charity that raised nearly $3 million, and not 1 cent of the charity's impressive fundraising total was used to grant the wishes of a sick or dying child.
How is that possible?
I don't know. It really makes me want to... I swear, if I had the CEO of that, I would knock him out the... Anyway, a review of government records and federal tax returns filed by wish-granting charities shows that some spend more on fundraising, salaries, and other costs than they do on wish-granting. From fewer than a handful of 2 decades ago, as many as 200 organisations now vie for donations by promising to send terminally ill kids to Disney World, help meet Pope Francis, or fulfil another once-in-a-lifetime dream. We cannot emphasise enough, the charities that we talk to, we have already done due diligence on. You out there, if you have a charity that actually you want to give to, it is a wish granting or any other charity, go to Charity Navigator, which is www.charitynavigator.org, and GuideStar, which is www.guidestar.org. And these are excellent resources because you'll find the names of charities that you will be able to check out, and it will make it easy for you to decide on which ones actually bring the wishes to seriously and terminally ill children. Now, John, I know we're running out of time as we were talking soccer at the beginning of the game. I'm sorry about that, but I want to tell me about the hero of the week.
Yes, well, we're going to revisit one of our previous heroes, Judy Adams. Judy is a young girl who has Down syndrome, and at the age of 12, she decided she wanted to start collecting dimes to pay for wishes and other things for other children like herself with Down syndrome. Now, the reason that she got this idea is because she was so influenced by her mother, Kim, and we're going to be talking to Kim here very shortly. Kim Adams is just an absolutely amazing woman. She started out as a volunteer for one organization, which led her to create her own organization called Gifts from the Heart for Downs, which you can read about at giftsfromtheheartfordowns.org. And I have her information right here, Ethan. I'm putting it right through to you for her Skype address. So I think we're going to be bringing Kim on here in just a minute to talk to us about what her organization is up to, including a big event that they have coming up in July. So if you give me here, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get that information to Kim and have her call in here.
So do we have her set up, Ethan?
No.
Okay. I actually have the Skype number there, as it is. It's technology at its finest here at the moment, because
It's not the technology.
it's not the technology.
It takes a minute. Hold on.
It does, yeah, I know. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit more about the other organisations that actually are making a difference that will help people bring dreams true. There is obviously Dream Factory, inc.org, which we've just been talking to Laura, which started in 1980. It began with one volunteer in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Since then, it's grown into the second largest children's wish granting organization in the United States, granting over 25,000 dreams since its inception, all the while maintaining a grassroots approach. As Laura said, they are made up of volunteers. Another, obviously, some of you have heard of many times before, is the Make-A-Wish Foundation, worldwish.org. founded in 1993. The mission of Make-A-Wish International is to grant the wishes of children with life-threatening medical conditions to enrich the human experience with hope, strength, and joy. Make-A-Wish International serves kids also outside the United States, and it's in 36 countries on 5 continents. So now we are going to go and try and get our... Hello? 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 Hello?
Hello.
Hello. Kim, is this Kim Adams?
It is. How are you?
Kim, good morning, Adrian. You're on air with Adrian Paul, Ethan Dettenmaier, and John Beerley.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
Very well. Where are you calling from?
Calling from New Paltz, New York.
That's 2 New Yorkers this morning. That's interesting. You got your start as a volunteer who helped grant wishes for Down syndrome heroes. How did you get involved with them?
I was listening to either a television show or a radio show. It was something like that. And I was listening to a young man state that he had gotten his wish granted through the Make-A-Wish, not the Make-A-Wish, I'm sorry, the Wish Upon a Hero program. Mm-hmm. And so I contacted the founder of the program and told him that I wanted to grant wishes to individuals who had Down syndrome. Would he work with us? And about 9 months later, he contacted me and said that he had set up the Down syndrome heroes and I could start granting wishes as they came in.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And what year was this?
That was around, I want to say 2009, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and
yeah.
let me ask you another question, because I started this out as a one-man show, well, with like a couple of other people and such. But you were a one-woman show. How did you do it all by yourself?
Well, I'm actually still a one-woman show. It hasn't gotten any bigger than me yet. I tried to get donations, and people would say, well, you're not local, so they didn't want to work with us. And I said, okay. And I reached out to people and asked them if they would be a part of it, showing them the wishes that I had already granted. And kind of sort of went from there, putting it together with a board. We put things together and just kind of sort of worked it out. And now I just kind of sort of do it on my own. I work many, many hours. Get up in the morning between 5 and 5:30, get my children off to school, and then sit down Monday through Friday, researching and trying to get information to try to get celebrity meet and greets done, or trying to raise funds to grant a wish for an iPad or whatever.
What are some of the most common requests that you receive?
It tends to be either a Disney trip or an iPad, a celebrity meet and greet. They're like the 3 biggest wishes I get.
Who are some of the celebrities that you've actually spoken to, or that have granted wishes for you?
Oh, granted wishes would be Julie Andrews, Reba McEntire, Brett Favre, Alan Jackson, John Travolta.
Wow.
Kenny Chesney.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Here's another question. How did you get to those celebrities? I mean, you're a one-woman show. Usually you go through publicists or somebody knows them, or how did you do it?
Well, what I do is I go online and I just research, and I keep researching. And then if I get, let's say I'll go to their record label, and I'll call them and I'll say, well, why don't you talk to such and such? And then I ask, well, do you have a number for them? And then they'll give me a number, and I'll call them. No, you don't want to talk to me. You want to talk to such and such. Right, yeah. And sometimes it takes me a couple of years to get in touch with somebody.
Yes, right. No,
because I'm just a mom. I'm nobody special. I don't have any contact with these individuals. I happen to be a CAT scan tech by trade.
A CAT scan tech?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, so how do you juggle your job with all this work that you have to do for charity work?
I work all weekend. I work all my hours on the weekend, and then I am home with the kids and do the charity work Monday through Friday.
And how do the kids usually respond when you do this? Do you have any stories that really stuck with you?
Oh, yeah, there's some really awesome stories that have happened. The Julie Andrews story, Michael. A lot of kids with Down syndrome tend to hug and kiss people a lot. Mm-hmm. And the mom, we try to teach our children that you shouldn't be hugging and kissing people every time you meet somebody because you don't really know them. So Michael's mom kept reminding him that he should really, shake her hand and not hug and kiss her. And he was bound and determined he was going to get that kiss in. So as Julie Andrews sat down to sign his book and give him her autograph, he puts his hands on her shoulder and bends over and kisses the back of her head. So he got his kiss in. That's what he wanted to do. And so that was kind of a funny situation. I just... Knowing kids with Down syndrome, he just had to get that in.
Well, you adopted 2 children with Down syndrome.
I did.
So how did you adopt? Did you adopt them before or after you started working with children with Downs?
Before.
Before.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I knew at 15 I was going to adopt a child with Down syndrome.
Why? What made you go to do that? I mean, there's obviously something that drove you to do it.
I have to be honest with you. I didn't know. I just knew that I was sitting in a youth group meeting and we were to introduce ourselves and then tell the pastor what we wanted to do. And I said, my name is Kim Adams and I'm going to adopt a child with Down syndrome. And he looked at me like there was something wrong with me. Like, why would you say that? Like, where would that come from? And he said, well, do you have a sibling with Down syndrome? And I'm like, no, no, I've never met a person with Down syndrome, but that's what I'm going to do.
Wow.
And 17 years later, I adopted a child with Down syndrome and even told him if it's a little girl, her name is going to be Judy.
What's your son's name? We know.
My son's name is Matthew. And he's 20 now. I brought him home at about 5 weeks. And my daughter's name is Judy.
Judy. Actually,
yes,
people
Judy.
who don't know that was a Cary Grant thing. Anyway, your goal was to collect $1 million. How far along are you right now?
Well, that's Judy's goal.
That's Judy's goal. Sorry, Judy's goal was collect $1 million, not yours. Sorry.
Judy's original goal was $155 million, and I talked her down to $1 million.
$155 million. How much is that? It's $15 million, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 15 million.
Yeah.
I think so.
That's a lot of dimes.
That's a lot of dimes. She has big dreams.
Aspirations.
But
That's
I told her
okay.
that $1 million was a big dream too. So we could do $1 million, and then we can talk about the next million.
How long is she on her journey now?
She's at 200,801.
Wow, very nice.
I just posted that this morning on her Facebook page.
That's awesome. And I know she's at camp today. Is that right?
She is at camp.
And you've got an event in July. You want to tell us about that very quickly?
We do. Judy is putting on a fundraiser in Danbury, Connecticut, where we're going to, it's called Dump Your Dimes. And what we're going to do is have games there. Everything is paid for in dimes. We're going to have like a banker on hand. So if you want to bring a $5 bill and change it to dimes, we'll be more than happy to do that. There's going to be food and other activities. There's going to be a bounce house there. We're working on a silent auction. And it's at one of the local parks in Danbury that we're going to have. And so it should be a lot of fun.
I want to ask you 2 other questions before, because we're going to have to jump. We're getting close to finishing the show. But what can our listeners do to help?
Oh, we need lots of help. If we're looking for people who have some form of talent, who is good at fundraising, like a graphic designer who can help to, let's say, design Judy's logo that we're working on doing, a web designer, a lawyer that can give us some kind of advice, anybody who knows how to run a Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn page, which is just not something that I do well or know how to do well.
Yeah, it's specific.
So, things that talent that people can share and would want to be involved in that kind of way.
And can you remind us is it giftsfromtheheartfordowns.org is the website?
Correct.
Okay, giftsfromtheheartfordowns.org. downs.org. We will have it on our Facebook site and on our website very soon. One last thing. Since you're doing this every day, what advice would you give someone who wanted to start their own organization like yours?
Oh, I would say just to be persistent, not to give up. Too many people get very frustrated and then stop doing what they're doing. But I have a motto that is turn your frustration into determination.
Very true.
And, just keep on going. Don't let people get you down, and surround yourself with people who believe in what you're doing.
Well, Kim, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and say hello to Judy for us. And I hope she gets to that million dimes very, very soon.
Thank you.
And please keep up the good work, and hopefully we'll talk to you again.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for having us on, or thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Cary Grant really didn't say that, right?
What did he say?
He didn't say that.
He didn't say Judy.
No, in a famous interview, he was actually asked, somebody imitated it in front of him, and he goes, I don't know where that comes from. It's hilarious.
Oh, well,
but that's so funny because everyone thinks he did say that.
Really? What? Because he actually said, Judy, Judy, please. He did say something. What film was it? Anyway, my John Bailey would know that, wouldn't he? What film that's from?
I don't know that one.
You
I don't know that one.
Back before your time. Is that what he's saying? Anyway, John, thank you for bringing. We've run out of time again this week. Thank you for bringing us that this week. Is there anything quickly you want to say?
thepeacefund.org. Check us out. There's so much going on. Check us out.
Yeah, and we're going to have a new site up very, very soon. We're hoping to have it by the end of the month. And then you can see all the lovely things we're doing. Thank you so much for joining us again this morning, John. Thank you to all the listeners out there who have tuned in to us or who will tune in to us to hear the great stuff that we've got going on and the fabulous charities that are around the U.S. trying to make a difference in the lives of kids everywhere. Ethan, thanks for putting us together. Beverly Shahara and everybody at the Peace Fund who are working very hard to bring so many great things. Our paintball competition is working very hard. It's coming together very nicely, as is our golf tournament that's going to be in August. You'll see all this stuff on the website, as well as our poker tournament. So in closing, I want to say to all of you from Doris Lessing, every child has the capacity to be everything. This is Adrian, Paul, and Ethan Dettenmaier. We will talk to you again.
You're listening to Peace Fund Radio with Adrian, Paul, and Ethan Dettenmaier, right here on LA Talk Radio.